Okay, guys. So welcome to Director's Chair with Cosmo, Alex Lutz, and he's a director of two movies in a film festival, Unbeatable and Roadie. He was a DP for two movies, and he was a camera assistant for two movies. So welcome, Alex.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So tell us, how does it feel to be a director whose movie got chosen for a film festival?
Feels awesome. Yeah, I'm stoked. I think it's just like lots of hard work and got to work with some pretty awesome people, and because of that, I think it's cool to see like all that hard work kind of paid off. Everyone put in hard work, so we had a good crew of people and in the whole program, and it feels great to be in the mix.
So can you tell us about your two films that are playing?
I guess I'll start with Unbeatable. Is just a story of a couple hometown heroes in Sarnia, Ontario, where I'm from, and they're two high school football athletes who I think became friends through an unfortunate accident, and they're wrestling, and something, a freak accident happened, and one of them, Dan, broke his neck, and through that adversity, and they were both young, just finishing high school, they both still went on to lead pretty awesome lives. Their friendship strengthened. Dan became a motivational speaker, even though his football career kind of ended. And Zach, who was involved in the incident with him, it was a total accident, but he went on to become like a doctor and a neurosurgeon, and still continued to have a pretty awesome football career, and their friendship kind of strengthened as they went up through that, and they both did a lot of public speaking at schools, and I thought it was a pretty cool story. It's a pretty famous story around my hometown, so I thought it would be kind of cool to showcase that in something like sort of like complete for them and for the community, and hopefully we can share it with Sarnia around here once this festival's finished up. And then the other film is called Roadie, and it's a completely different tone. It's not serious, though it might be I guess it's kind of uplifting, but it's just more loosely based on my friends who I'd met mostly in Budapest, where I lived for like 4 years probably, and I just thought, what kind of scenario could I see them getting in if they lived in the real world? And I feel like they'd all probably be part of like some kind of rock band. So I wrote a rock band story where one of them is hungover, which isn't too far out of character for the actual person in real life, and he has to find the members of his band because he lost them all, and they had a big night out, and to see if they can like play a show on time, and I just tried to pick the personalities that I thought would kind of gel together to make the story go. They're all friends in real life, though.
Cool.
Okay.
So how would you say your writing process was for Roadie?
Writing process. I think that was it. I just wanted to write something that was fun. So you could go a bunch of different ways. I think like there were some serious stories kind of going around in the program, and I was just like, let's just try and make something lighthearted and totally fun, because filmmaking should be fun. And I figure like having a fun story like that will be a good way to maybe learn the filmmaking process without the pressure of having anything that was like overly personal. Like, it's about my friends, but it's like a fictional situation, and it's mostly about like kind of like partying and having fun, and it's, I guess, overall a comedic tone film, and yeah, so I think I just kind of took those inspirational things, and then the story kind of just flowed. Like in class, what I didn't realize that I learned in the program was that you start by writing like a log line, which is kind of like a small little snippet from the old TV guides that just kind of pitches the whole film really succinctly. And once you have that little line written, you can just kind of see the trajectory of the end of the story. And so I started by writing that little line, and then took off from there.
It's gonna
But
be
yeah, I think the biggest challenge in like all the writing was like trying to remember that whatever we wrote in the script had to be actually something that you could film and do. So not to have anything so unrealistic. I don't know, you guys probably felt the same. Like you have to both made films like that. Would know like Renat has a killer in his film and like a slasher movie and stuff like. And you have to be able to do the things that you put on the page, and if you can't, then you're kind of in trouble. But that to me was like the biggest challenge, that you can't dream too big, or else it can't be doable. So I think, yeah, like I wrote a rock concert scene, and we weren't even going to shoot it because we didn't think we could, and then so we wrote it as a really small thing, and then it ended up being like a big thing, and kind of closed the movie out. So that was the yeah, that was just kind of lucky where we dreamed small and then it turned out bigger.
How does your writing process look like, or how does it look right now, like when you're like during like a quarantine?
Really, really messy. I don't know. I just I think like well, yeah, I think I start with that like log line type of thing, try and get it like a distinct idea of what the story is going to be and where it's going to go, and then just build like the skeleton of the story, like your beat sheet or whatever. And then from there, I've always got crazy ideas going around, and I was talking to you about some of them last night, Renat, and my mind just goes everywhere, and I'm just always coming up with like weird ideas and new things. So I have another bunch of pages just called the flavor bin, and in the flavor bin, I stole it from Jonah Hill, but he writes down just all his random fun creative ideas that he just wants to do. Sometimes it's just like a line or like a small character or an image or a scene that he wants to show, and then he once he's got the skeleton of the story built, he gets to go to the flavor bin, and that's where he gets to see where all the fun, cool, flavory bits kind of fit into like his story. And that's the funnest part. But for the stuff I'm working on right now, I'm not there yet.
Do you take like a notebook with you everywhere you go, or do you write down like on your phone, or how does it look like?
Yeah, I like the idea of having a notebook, but I'd probably write in my phone more often. I do have a notebook that I have with me all the time, but it's the modern world, and sometimes it's quicker to just whip open the notes on the old Apple Google device.
Okay.
So, which, like, what were some of the challenges you faced during production? It could be pre-production, production, or post.
Yeah, for which film, both or
both?
Yeah, you can start by one, talking about one, and then
like in Unbeatable, when we filmed that with like Renat and Aniket, I think we had some big crews, and our story for a lot of it didn't require like a big crew, so some of it was just like narrowing the small bits down. The biggest challenge was the weather, though. We had like on the day we were set to shoot our first kind of thing. I think it was just an interview or something, and there was like no, it was Dan like speaking in the class, which was already kind of a challenge. Like, all right, we have to get him speaking at like a live event, like doing the thing that he does. And it snowed like a huge blizzard in between Sarnia and London, which is like a notorious like place for all the to get like really bad weather. And yeah, it snowed like 2 feet or something, and in one of those days, and then one of the days before that it got snowed out, and then the other piece of the puzzle was that Zach, who's like the other main character in the story, main person in the story, he no longer lives in Sarnia. He lives out of town because he's like doing military doctor stuff now. I don't want to like do disservice to what he actually does, but that's something in the military doctor wise. And we had to go visit him out of town. So he was like, fortunately enough, coming back from like Petawawa, which is in the middle of nowhere in Ontario, at like a military base, into Guelph, which is only an hour from London. So we made a road trip to go up and do an interview with him. So I think it was just like kind of fitting, like all the pieces were there in the story. It was just like trying to fit and organize all of them to kind of come together. And the other thing that was kind of too bad was like we had so many people, because Dan's story and Zach's story, their stories so like well known around town where I'm from. There's so many people that wanted to be involved and have interviews, and people that did interview that didn't get in the documentary that we had to cut out, that like interviewed really well too, and that clearly care a ton about both Dan and Zach and the story and the community. And so like having to cut them out of the interview was like heartbreaking. So that was another, like, I guess a post-production trouble, because at the time we're like, great, these are more people to interview, like we have more info. And then when it made our jobs worse in the editing room, when we had to cut like a 24-minute story into like a 12-minute film or whatever it was.
What was like a shot you were like proud most, like in any of your movies?
Say?
What was like the shot you're the most proud of? Like you think it's the most beautiful shot, or?
I think that it's the last shot we did on Roadie. Is this like he's like got like a monologue where he's like hungover, and we there was this huge parking lot, and I didn't actually have like a setting in mind for it. Like we were gonna do it. It just said like on the street, and it could have been, I guess, anywhere. And we were in the big wide open parking lot, and I always wanted to shoot like a Western, so we shot like a Western style shot that actually got cut from the movie, but it's my favorite shot, where like the camera pans up and like gets him, and then like he walks right into the camera and says his final lines, and it kind of pans down. And it's like way over dramatic and not in the style of the movie, but we actually used it in the trailer. And that was, I think, my favorite like shot of the whole thing. But I know I stole a lot of like ideas from you, Renat, too, especially with like Bong Joon-ho being such a big influential guy in the film world right now. So tried to like layering the narrative and seeing if you could film a whole scene in one shot with like multiple people, with like the layers of people. So we did that on our first day in scene 3. Actually, in every scene we were able to do in one shot, but I cut it up for the style of the film in the end. But yeah, I think that one on scene 3, when everyone kind of came together and we just nailed the whole scene, and everyone was kind of pumped afterwards. In like the 4th take, and we did the whole long like 3-minute scene all in one take, from like the master shot angle, and everyone was kind of featured and everyone hit their lines. The boom didn't get in the way, all that kind of stuff came together, and to see like your blocking and your hard work and all your planning kind of come together and actually just happen, like rehearsals and everything, they've all that stuff kind of helped out. So that was scene 4 in the film, but on day 1, that was the first day that happened, and I was stoked about that. And then you said I was like Bong Joon-ho, and that was like the hugest compliment. So
no, it's true. Like I remember we did like this shot, right? Like it was in garage, and it was like, as you said, like around like 5 people, and it was like 3 minutes long. It was like one of the best like one take, like if not the best, like in our film festival could be potentially. And I feel like just in general, it was such a good shot. It was like the best example of like Asian cinema. So
yeah,
like it's still like it's an amazing movie. Like I saw like the final cut, it was very good. But I would like to see like a different version. I would like to see like director's cut. Are you planning to do it or no?
Yeah, well, we've talked about it. I think it would be cool to just like release a whole new cut of the film with just the long takes and just see how it works. I think with anything like obviously we put tons of practice in and lots of rehearsals and stuff, just to make sure the dialogue's right and seems natural. I think it'll have a whole different feel to the movie if we do it that way. But yeah, it would be kind of cool to try and do it in just wide in just wide master shots, and checked it out. But yeah, we could do it for fun for sure. Yeah, director's cut of just like Bong Joon-ho style. Yeah, just to showcase like the acting and the blocking would be cool.
Okay, so what would be one of your favorite memories on your sets and some other sets?
On on Shruthi's film. There's lots of good memories. Shruthi's film was the first time like everyone kind of knew their job, knew what they were doing, and because of that, it kind of made everyone was there to like work hard and really came together. But because of that kind of like mentality, and because we'd already done a film before, held together with all the roles, like when we got to Shruthi's film, and we were kind of pushing in late at night, and everyone was there like kind of like working hard and kind of knew their job. That one night, I think we spent like probably 16 or 18 hours on her set that day, and it was a long day. But we got some pretty awesome shots out of it, and Shruti was really pumped with all the footage we got. That was a huge day, and the crew just kind of came together. It just felt like we were all like one big whole, and there was no like, everyone just working hard and working as a unit. That as a crew day was pretty awesome, and probably one of the best ones. But yeah, I think the other one is like when we did the opening shot to Roadie, opening shot of the film, or I guess it turns out to be the second shot, and the camera kind of pans these feet as they walk around the kitchen. We tried to plan how to do that tracking shot, because I think without like an actual track to do a proper tracking shot, or like a massive gimbal in like a kitchen, doesn't really fit. Those tracking shots are some of the hardest ones, because they have to be moving, they have to look good, but they can't be shaky. And Daria and Aniket filmed that, but we'd planned that shot and how we were going to do it. Like we'd rehearsed it and tried it out so many times, even in the studio, and to actually bring it onto the set and do it. We actually burned like probably a lot of time that day, because we redid it from like a different angle, just because we were having so much fun with the tracking shot. So I think like that was kind of cool too, to see that come together, and watching it happen. And then I don't know, just the whole idea of it here, having like Danielle was our like third AD, and she was there like with the clapper, saying like, Roadie scene 1 and clapping it down. It just felt kind of surreal, like you're just part of like a movie, and it's just cool to see like the thing that you put on a piece of paper is something that you're actually doing out in real life. And I can't wait to hopefully get a chance to do that again.
I feel like the main problem with like that shot was also like we got problem with like follow focus. That's why it was like much harder to do like without it relevant width, And my question is, if you can reshoot something, what you would do?
I can reshoot something?
Yeah.
That follow focus was definitely an issue. If I could reshoot something, I wouldn't reshoot it because of the follow focus. I mean, that was a lot of trouble, like in terms of like technical stuff, but we got through it, and Daria was like so handy with the actual focus puller that it didn't really matter in the end. In terms of like the final output, it mattered in the process, like of how to do it, because it just made our lives more difficult and took more time. Whereas if it was just working properly, things would have gone quicker, and we probably would have got other shots. There's a shot in that kitchen scene, an opening scene, an overhead fisheye shot that we never got to do, and I would love to go back and redo that. There's the concert scene at the end, which is probably some of the cleanest looking like footage we have. The lighting was like pink, and it took a lot of work to kind of make it orange and teal and orange, which is like the color palette we're kind of trying to work with. That would have been as simple as like just changing a gel, and it would have made a lot less work in post-production. So but one of those things when we had like 4 hours to film that concert scene, and there were like probably 40 or 50 people there that day, and to try and keep track of everything that is in your plan, and that was the one thing that kind of got skipped over just because of all like the chaos and just trying to organize this big scene. And it's too bad that something small like a lighting kind of thing that I guess lighting's a huge part of like the look of your film, or maybe the whole part that got overlooked. So yeah, I'd probably go back and just get the color palette right on that concert scene. So it would have saved us like weeks of work and post production, or like a week of work.
So, what are like your expectations for the film festival? Are you excited? Are you expecting anything special?
Yeah, I think hopefully it'll be awesome. I think like because like we all work so hard, and we would have loved to do a live festival, but because of this whole like apocalypse virus thing, it's not possible. And just watching the whole world like adapt and do things differently is and to be a part of that, like it wasn't going to go ahead, and then a couple people in the class wanted it to go ahead, uh, in a new way, in a new medium. That's like the online like digital film festival format. I guess to be a part of something that is going to be that digital format, the new way of doing things for now anyway. I think that feels kind of cool to just be a part of, like on that side of history. Like we could have easily just, just thrown in the towel, said no, we're not doing a festival this year. None of the films get shown, but because everyone's worked so hard to like make the festival a go, then we get to kind of show off all the work we've been doing, and that feels really good. Yeah, and I think just like there's so many businesses out there that could be throwing in the towel right now, like but they're switching to takeout and switching to delivery, and doing alternate ways of running their business, online format, like tutors are doing their stuff online, teachers are teaching classrooms completely digitally, and or from like their home, and it's not the way that any of the world expected to run, but it just kind of goes to show what like the possibilities are, like that we're going through a global pandemic, but we're still going to live our lives and go out and accomplish the things that we set out to accomplish, and hopefully for us like provide some entertainment that we still wanted to that's why we wanted, I guess, get into this sort of business. Yeah, it's fun, and at the end of the day do something entertaining, so it feels good to be, I guess, a part of like the people that adapted, because I guess it's that sort of like I can use a morbid metaphor. I won't use it anymore, but like adapt or fail. How about that? And I think we adapted, and now we're succeeding, and now we get to show off all our hard work, and that feels awesome.
Yeah, just some inside information. We finished like shooting your movie was Monday, right? And on Tuesday night, the college was closed. So if we had any production like later week, we won't be able to make any movies. So we got like really lucky.
Yeah, that was crazy. Like I think we were shooting that day, and there was like we were set to shoot at 10:30, and then the venue owner of London Music Club, Pete, good dude Pete, he said, he was like, oh well, there's meant to be an announcement from the Prime Minister at 11:30, like, and we all knew that meant that all the businesses were going to be shut, and that like you can't like meet in groups anymore, but we'd already like had everyone there ready to shoot this thing, so people, it was just like good and lucky timing, and good old Pete didn't mind us finishing off shooting what we like organized so hard for, and we got all our shots, and we filmed like this cool concert scene that ends up being pretty fun at the end of the movie, and then the coronavirus started, and that was it. Like everyone had all their films shot except for like reshoots that I know some people want to do, and overall like we got everything done.
being part of your crew and also like watching your final cut, I see the influence of Bon Ho, right? John Bon Ho, like as we
Yeah.
talked before, and also like editing process look more like a French New Wave.
Yeah.
What's other director's influence you feel?
I don't know. Those are probably the two biggest ones. I think like, yeah, we want to kind of go with like a. I mean, who knows? I watched like obviously the two directors I like the most, or whose work I like the most, usually is like the Coen brothers and Tarantino. I don't think my film has almost anything in common with them, but I like to think that like trying to get in the mind of those kind of guys and learn from sort of like the people who you idolize, like the like just good tips about mise en scène and directing and working with actors and writing, how everything matters and how much like work and planning goes into stuff. So I think like I like to think that there's an influence of them on the film, even though the film doesn't look anything like any of their movies at all. Maybe the dialogue was, I don't know, I enjoyed writing the dialogue and stuff, and hopefully it was easy enough to speak and say and made the story flow. So that was kind of cool, and influenced by hopefully one of those great guys, like, because I think dialogue is something that a lot of people struggle with, like how do people speak and how do they speak differently and individually. And I guess I was kind of lucky that my characters are based on people in real life, so I could just like imagine how they would say it and then just write it like that, which was kind of cool. But yeah, in terms of influences, yeah, I think Bong Joon-ho spent a lot of time watching Memories of Murder and oh, I guess like Superbad. I'm a huge Todd Phillips fan, and those guys. So I think like there's probably like a huge. I think there is even the Superbad movie case is in my movie in like the first shot somewhere, just sitting there because I was like gotta pay homage to. Yeah, just like that. Yeah, that you can make a story out of a party, because there's parties lend to really great stories. They're not always as emphatic as like, I don't know. It's not like we're Lawrence of Arabia or anything like intense like that. But it's you get a good story that you can tell your friends at the end of a big night out, and I think that's sort of what this story was like. Yeah, just sort of like Superbad. That story's just about two friends that just want to get invited to the high school party, and this is kind of in that same vein, or like I guess Get Him to the Greek influenced the story as well, because it's just the same type of thing. Get a rock star to his show. So those influences are definitely there, and they're not huge like maybe not the huge like auteurs or whatever, but they're movies that I like to watch anyway. Like I could watch Get Him to the Greek all day.
So, like, would that be considered one of your top 3 favorite movies? You kind of mentioned some of your favorites, but that was another one of our questions.
Top 3 favorite movies.
Yeah.
It's a hard question, but I guess it like it depends if you want like favorite that I could just sit back and watch. Yeah, over and over again. Yeah, like those two are probably in that category. My favorite movie is probably Almost Famous. I could watch that movie all day, and just like cinematically, it's gorgeous, and the soundtrack's awesome. So that's probably my favorite movie. And I love Goodfellas, which is not. I don't think there's any Goodfellas influence in that, but yeah. And then I don't know what the other one would be. Yeah, I love like Inglourious Bastards and The Hateful Eight. So those are probably up there too. I don't know. I've got a lot of favorite movies. So.
What's your plans for future?
It's future.
Like after like you're gonna graduate, right? Like end of June. Like what are you planning to do?
Hopefully get a job working on a film set somewhere, and just start meeting people and getting involved in the film industry and kind of learning how the bigger productions are done and being a part of that. I think it'll be like really valuable, and if I can get on as like a production assistant to a big production, that'd be awesome, and just yeah, just start learning. And I kind of see it as two parallels. Hopefully I can do that kind of thing. Then maybe that'll lead towards meeting the right people who will kind of help me get like a feature kind of film produced, because I'd love to, you know, so I'm working on writing now. But I'm also working on writing a couple short films, and newly an idea for a web series that I think would just be silly and that we could kind of produce. And maybe I don't know, there's so many avenues to kind of get stuff produced these days. So hopefully, yeah, I'll get some work so I can keep like earning a living on the film industry, and kind of network through there and have an awesome time and learn a lot more, and then grow as a filmmaker from that end. But hopefully all of it translates back into being able to yeah, keep producing and making more films, because I've got some cool ideas, and if get picked up by the right person, who knows, try and, yeah, I'd love to have a feature film made and show it off at a movie theater. That's I think what everybody wants, so in our program anyway.
If you get a job offer from adult movie production, would you consider it?
No. No.
Okay.
But that's hilarious.
So, what would be one thing you'd like to say to others who want to create their own movies?
Just go do it. We're in the middle of a global pandemic, and you have nothing but time on your hands, so start writing. And I think the hardest part about writing anything is sharing your ideas with people and realizing that they might actually be good. And when you start to share it and you start to get some good feedback, it feels awesome. And you can work, and you can hear the holes in your story that maybe don't make sense or that need more work. And you've just got to start by starting. And I think that's what all this has been. Had some good stories, but they're just a start, and hopefully we can continue to improve and keep telling some awesome stories. And yeah, anyone starting out, just start writing and get involved. And if you're passionate about something, hopefully you get to keep doing it. But I don't know, because I'm just in the start of it. So but go write and see where it goes from there. I don't know, or just go make a movie, or just get involved. And I guess that's the other thing too. Like from a pretty small town, people don't think that you can go make movies, and that's a realistic like career path. They don't even know that that's a career path. So I would say, if it crosses your mind to want to make a movie and follow it in a career career direction, just go do it.
Is there anything else you'd like to say about either of your films?
Watch them May 14th.
What time?
That's it. Yeah.
Hey guys, it was a director's chair with Cosmo, Alex Lutz, me, Renat, Absalyamov, and Kailee McArthur. So see you on next Thursday, May 14th.
7 p.m.
7 p.m.
7 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, don't be late, guys.
Don't be late. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
I'm stoked.